There are not a lot of good stories in the sports world these days, it seems. And yet we had the Borowiecki story the other day, which was excellent. And now this has come out. So Nathan MacKinnon being interviewed about his current contract. And of course, the question you're going to ask him is, aren't you getting ripped off? You're only making $6.5 million to play hockey. To which he said, no. Could you have taken a bridge deal? He's like, I could have taken a bridge deal. I could have made more money. No. Not only that, but he basically said in the interview, he will take less pay next time. Because he wants the team to be competitive. He wants to win, and that's his primary concern. Sounds like Colorado has got players buying in the same way Boston does. Makes it very difficult to knock a team off that perch if players are saying, we will take less to play here, when you've got players in other cities who just want to maximize their money. Apparently in Colorado, it's the same motto as was said by Marchand in Boston. If you want to make your money, you're not going to do it here. If you're going to play here, you're going to play for the team. And Colorado, apparently, it's the same thing. So that's great to hear from MacKinnon. It will be interesting to see in 2023 when his contract runs out what he gets. But $6.3 million is a bargain for what he provides. And at the time it was signed, it was a risky deal. And I say risky because at the time he hadn't yet achieved anywhere near the success he's achieved since signing it, but he has no regrets about it. So that's a good story and good for him. Montreal fans, perfect time to panic, I would imagine. Caden Primeau is going to make his debut tonight against Colorado. Oh, man. We've got a 20-year-old rookie. What should we do? All right, we'll bring him up. Bring him up and send Kincaid down if you need to so Kincaid gets his confidence back. All right, well, we're going to start this Primeau kid against Colorado. Damn it, Montreal. So, and it's been said, they bring up Primeau, and he'd basically be the backup, and then Kincaid probably comes back. I figured Primeau might get a game, but against Colorado? Now, if they get destroyed tonight, I guess we'll start talking about whether or not it ruins the kid, but one bad game doesn't ruin a kid. Look at Michael DiPietro in Vancouver. You can use it as a badge of honor. You can use it as a learning experience. But, man, why is he playing in this one? It's almost as if Claude Julien heard us, myself and others, complaining about how Toronto deployed their goalies. And he's like, I can deploy them worse than that. I'll put a brand new kid in against a potentially really healthy Colorado team that's looking to score a bunch of goals and has been able to do so seemingly at will over the last few weeks. We'll see how this goes for Caden Primeau. I will be watching. That'll be a very interesting game. That gets my interest. So when you've got 7 games starting at the same time, putting a 20-year-old kid in against the Avs means that'll probably get most of my interest to start the night. Ottawa's doing the right thing. Now, Hogberg getting sent back to the American League. We knew this would happen with Anderson back, so Anderson and Nilsson are obviously their goaltenders. Brandstrom being sent down may surprise some people, but Brandstrom needed to be sent down about a month ago. I've been really surprised they've kept him up as long as they have. With defensemen, it can take longer for them to develop, and when you can see that a defenseman's missing some assignments here and there, and he's kind of overwhelmed, it's noticeable. And it usually means they need more seasoning, likely at the American Hockey League level. And so he will get that. This is the best thing for him. It does not mean he's a flop by any standards, because again, defensemen, it's very often that they take longer to develop. This is why I was so amazed by Cale Makar just stepping into an NHL environment in the playoffs and being that good last spring. And he's been even better in the regular season this year. So Bradstrom's just taking a longer time to get there. If you're a Dallas fan and you're pretty sure that you heard a choir of angels today, that is because Alex Radulov has been scratched for tonight's game. I don't know what happened to Radulov. I mean, 72 points, and I said he scored too much last year. I'm pretty sure I had him as a list on the list of players that I thought would fall back this year, because I thought he scored too much. But I don't think anybody saw this season coming. I think he has 15 points in 29 games. And it's not the lack of scoring. It's the stupid penalties. I talked about it in the preview this morning before I'd even read that he was scratched for tonight. There are so many times in a game where I've watched Radulov take dumb penalty after dumb penalty. When Yvonne and I sat down to watch the Dallas-Vancouver game, and we're sitting behind the Dallas net, and I said, see that 47 there? Yeah, don't worry about him. He's not going to score goals. He's probably going to end up in the penalty box before the end of the night, too. Because it's what he does. And it's often a sign that a guy's lost a step, is when they're taking hooking and holding penalties especially. And around the turn of the century, it was quite common for guys to, as they got older and they lost a step, that they'd hook, they'd hold, they would slash a little bit more. And in that era, that was okay. They didn't really penalize that. So we had a game that was really slowed down to a crawl compared to what it is now. So Radulov doing what guys in the early 2000s wouldn't have been penalized for. He wouldn't have been penalized for this. And we would be hearing about how, well, he's picking up his physical game, and he's still doing stuff out there that's noticeable, and look how he held that guy up at the blue line. And now it's just, it hurts the team too much. Absolutely. So he's been scratched tonight. He'll end up back in the lineup. It won't be very long. But we'll see how Dallas does without him tonight. If they win without him, it's going to be sort of like Kovalchuk with the Kings. As soon as they started benching Kovalchuk, things got better for the Kings. If things get better for Dallas, he may have to have Kovalchuk on speed dial. They can talk during games. I don't know. It is a strange situation in Dallas where they have a pretty good record, and yet their star players, Sagan, Ben, and Radulov, none of them having great seasons so far. Even Pavelski, not a great season for him either. You just have to think, if Dallas had superstars who were performing, they would be up there with the best teams in the West, with St. Louis, with Edmonton, probably ahead of Edmonton right now. But yeah, that's just all out the window. Their blue line's excellent, their goaltending's excellent, but the scoring's been an issue. And penalties with Radulov have been the big thing. Fleury's back for Vegas. But Subban is going to start tonight. So in all likelihood, Subban will get a start, maybe two, while Fleury gets back into the swing of things. They will not rush him. They will not. There's no need to rush him in December. Playoffs don't start till April, and Subban's been playing pretty well lately. So there really is no reason to rush Fleury back into the net, as they might have done a couple of years ago under the same circumstances. So yeah, Vegas. We'll see if they can keep up their hot streak tonight. The Board of Governors meet next week, and what's obvious is we're going to get a code of conduct out of it. It's going to be for players and coaches. So this isn't just coaches. This is players too. And this is going to be how it works in a workplace. It's bizarre to me because this is just how it is. Any job I've had, I've signed off on numerous forms before I can step onto the floor. And one of those will be about how I'm going to behave at work and how I'm going to treat other workers. And what can, how they treat absenteeism. And you sign off on all of that so that if something happens, they can pull that out and go, hey, you signed this. And that behavior, what you're exhibiting right now is not acceptable. The NHL hasn't really had that, other than Department of Player Safety if you do something stupid on the ice, and then the NHL can fine you here and there and suspend you if you do something egregious. But this code of conduct is going to be very, very interesting. So Board of Governors will meet on this, and I would think they'll get a team of lawyers working on it as soon as possible, and we'll see players and coaches, I would think, signing it early in the new year. I would think that it'll take a while to draft it and make sure all the language is okay between the NHLPA and the NHL, but it's coming. And then after that, there will be some kind of method by which if a player sees something they don't like, or if a coach sees something they don't like, or trainer, for instance, who's with the team, sees something a player or a coach does, an investigation is triggered. And again, this is just standard with a workplace. So it is being treated as such, and it's something that is going to change how hockey players and coaches act from here. Notice I'm throwing players in there because we've talked a lot about coaches, but believe me, somebody somewhere said, yeah, but remember that time that guy said that on the ice? We got to make sure they can't do that either. So we can't just have coaches getting in trouble for everything they say and then not have players held to the same standard. So it's going to be really interesting from here. we are in a whole new era when it comes to the National Hockey League, and we'll see what happens. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon.